Hello friends and welcome back to Green Bluff. We're in City Skylines Remastered, playing through the green power scenario. Today, I'm focusing on building a proper industrial district. I'm moving my current industry across the highway to the south side of the city where there is a completely blank slate to work with. This area that I'm showing you now is the new district, and overall I'm really happy with how this turned out. I tried something new and it does have some issues, but overall I am really happy with it. I looked at some industry development on Google Photos and found one with a roundabout and several plazas separating some warehouses. I used this as inspiration for my district. While this new industry development has some issues that need to be worked out, I'm very happy that I spent time working on it. I'm also going to start on creating a downtown with a metro station, an expo center, and some city stadiums where Green Bluffians can enjoy some fun in the sun with family. So, thanks again for joining me today. Let's start building. I'm starting this episode off with a speed build of the road layout for this new industries zone. The photo I used for inspiration had the district off a road diagonal to a main arterial with a roundabout on the end. This took me a few tries to decide exactly where I wanted this diagonal road to be placed, as I wanted to have enough room for this zone to expand in the future with the possibility of having its own interchange later on. I'm still getting the hang of placing roads in CS Remastered. It's not as easy to place a straight road as it is in CS1. This industry zone will be home to general industry, as well as several power plants and emergency water pumps, and landfills and recycling centers. Although not in this episode, I do end up taking advantage of this new area's forestry resource, and this industry zone will house storage facilities for the forestry as well. This video is only around 45 minutes, but I had to do some extensive editing so as not to bore you all because I ended up spending so much time on the road layout. Additionally, the highway interchange quickly posed issues for me with extensive traffic coming to this new area for pickup and drop-off of resources. I still haven't quite figured out the best way to transition from highway to city roads, so if you have any suggestions, feel free to let me know in the comments. I'll stop talking now, but I'll see you later in a few minutes. Now that I've got a road layout, I decide to move my geothermal power plants to this new development. I did this to make room for a downtown entertainment area where I will eventually have some sports arenas and office buildings. As I was zoning my industry, I tried to be cognizant of spacing because I didn't want to have a ton of warehouses back to back with no room in between. I used concrete pedestrian pathways to separate my warehouses, which gave the development a cleaner look. I placed some water pumps and water storage facilities for our disaster relief services so they can use that if ever there's flooding in the city. Although the chance of that happening is very low in this scenario, I still think disaster relief should be represented, even if only for appearances. Coming up, I use districts to separate the two sides of this industrial development. In the middle, I create a pedestrian-only plaza, which will have a lot of green space. Although the warehouses do produce pollution that negatively affects the trees in the plaza, I tried to be cognizant of where the trees were placed so they wouldn't all look sick and brown. By the way, if you're enjoying this video, feel free to like it and subscribe to my channel to see more Vanilla City Skylines content. I really appreciate your support. Now we're going to get back to building. The industrial plaza acts as a separator between the two major industry zones. At first, I thought the plaza would just be this little area beside the roundabout, but I thought, why not make it bigger? Although industry zones don't require as many services as residential and commercial zones, they do benefit from parks and plazas and will still level up accordingly. I want my industrial buildings to be as nice as possible and to produce as little waste as possible, so I implemented the filter industrial waste policy for this development. Coming up, I get started on giving downtown Green Bluff a little bit of personality. I'll see you in a few minutes. Now I'm going to start creating a downtown entertainment area. I don't have many of the special buildings unlocked yet, but I do have an expo center. Later on, as I began zoning this area, I realized too late that my streets were not straight. I'm trying to work with them though, and of course we can always change them later. In this area, I used parks from the Hotels and Resorts DLC to help fill in some gaps between offices and high-density commercial. I also add in some high-density residential as well, and I put in a metro station and bus line to get more people coming to this area. I absolutely love the parking structures that came with the free update to the base game earlier this year. I think they really add in some realism to the game. I can't wait to see what upgrades CS2 offers. For the start of the metro system, I place a station in this downtown area, another in the new South Side Industrial Development, and then I place one on the eastern side of our main residential neighborhood of Briarton. That station will act as the main hub for a new commercial shopping district that I plan on building later on. I have yet to figure out the best way to place a metro station in our agricultural town of Dresden Springs. But at the same time, I want that area to feel more rural and more like a small town where citizens there wouldn't have access to a metro station and instead they would have to drive to get to the big city. Although I'm not great at building metro systems, I've been learning a lot watching other creators and how they use their metro systems. My hope is to get better at placing them strategically so that they don't look totally all over the place. Coming up, I add in an IT district to my downtown core, as well as a financial district with a stock exchange. So stay tuned. As you can see, the Silicon Way is our IT district, and it has a lot of tall buildings. They're mostly blue. They're probably a little bit too tall, but I'm going to keep them for now. The financial district is Crest Heights, which I'll probably end up changing that name. But I'd like to eventually have a city hall in here and some government offices within the financial center, just because I think those buildings match pretty well. It's all kind of like gray and brown, so I think that'll work well with this financial area. Every downtown has some ugly buildings, right? So now that I'm actually thinking about it, I might implement the modern city center district style for some of the offices and commercial buildings down here. And I think that might help make this area feel a little bit more unique. What are some other things you would expect to see in a downtown area? Leave me a comment and let me know if you have any suggestions for me. I'd love to hear from you. Right now, I'm placing in a little plaza for Silicon Way, just adding a little bit of a detail, just so people can have a little something there. I think I do have a tram going through there, which I do like. So I think that adds a little something as well. In Crest Heights, there is a little bit of a difference with the buildings. I had some trouble placing down the buildings, and then like two of them populating, and they both looked exactly the same. The same thing happened in Silicon Way as well. So I kind of had to play around with the different sizes of the buildings. So you'll see me kind of work with the different areas. And then too, my roads weren't straight, so that kind of, added a challenge as well. So I didn't want to like totally start from scratch, so I tried to work with what I have, but overall I think it turned out decently. So here is the area that we just worked on, and over here in the Grove Park area, that is my residential area. So I placed down a large grocery store over here so people can walk to that store, and then they can walk back home. I really loved these little grocery stores that we got with the update earlier this year. And so in this area I have a lot of parks and a community pool, and just a couple of schools to support the residents in this neighborhood. But overall, I really like these additions that I put in Green Bluff with the new industrial zone as well as this downtown core. I'm really enjoying playing through this green power scenario. And right now, the city has about 21,000 residents, but we need to get to 50,000 to win the challenge. So honestly, I rarely ever create cities that are that large. So it'll be interesting trying to get to that number. In the next episode, I'm going to work on some additions to the south side of the city, as well as start on a university campus area. So I wanted to take a moment to thank you all for taking the time to watch this video and supporting me and my channel. We're nearing the end, so I'll leave you guys with that. Take care, have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you guys next time.